I do see a huge change among young people, and you can see that they have been, in a way, red pilled to reality. And I think this whole inflation thing, the money printing thing, and the problem that Bitcoin solves, which is the fiat money printing press, which is really unlimited taxation. It's infinite taxation. It's, as you know, the dollar has lost 98.5% of its value since 1971 when we went off the gold standard, when gold was $35 an ounce back then. Now it's over $2,000 per ounce. So, instead of paying $45,000 for an average car today, you should be paying $800 for the same car. And so young people are seeing this. They can't afford to buy groceries. I mean, with the technological advances, technology pushes prices down about 2 to 3% per year. But of course, they print the money, and we don't see that. It's just another, theft operation by government. It's counterfeiting. It's illegal if you or I counterfeit money. So what's happening is their purchasing power is being stolen. Now, for somebody like, say, in my position or your position, let's say we're in the top 5% or something, we can afford to buy assets that tend to appreciate in value, whether it's real estate or the S&P 500, or now Bitcoin. But the average person out there who's on a hourly pay or a fixed wage, they're getting killed by inflation. They're getting killed by the money printing press because, as we know, and as I think as you know, Marty, the CPI, the inflation number that is being released by government every month, is a completely phony number. It's at least it understates inflation by there's a debate about this, but it understates it by 4 to 7%, say. So if the CPI, Consumer Price Index, that's the official inflation number that's released by the government every month, if they're telling you it's 3%, well, it's really more like 7% inflation. And the way you know that is by looking at the price of gold against the dollar. That's how you know that the CPI is the official government inflation number is phony. And of course, Bitcoin, is a big improvement over gold because it's transportable. You can't carry your gold bar with you very easily. It'd be hard to carry a gold bar through an airport or across a border in case all hell breaks loose here and you have to get out with your assets. And Bitcoin allows you to carry your wealth in your pocket. So that's a huge improvement.
You can carry it in your brain if you want to, if you can.
You carry in your brain if you want. Remember a 12 words. Yeah. Money's very important, so people, Marty, somebody needs to really maybe do a book on this, is when you corrupt the money, you kind of corrupt the morals, you corrupt the work ethic, you corrupt a lot of things that, inflation. People say, for example, they say, well, we need a little bit of inflation. We need a little bit of money printing to kind of grease the skids of the economy, to create more velocity of the money so that people just won't want to hoard their money. But I think that's wrong. I mean, if let's say we have a money that is just really rock solid, and maybe it's going up in value against fiat currency, but are you really not going to buy an iPhone if you need an iPhone because you don't want to spend your Bitcoin or spend your gold coins? Of course not. You're going to buy the iPhone. And if you look at the 19th century, we were on the gold standard for most of the 19th century. We went fiat money printing to pay down Civil War debts and to pay down Revolutionary War debts. But for much of the 19th century, the boom times of the 19th century, we were actually on the gold standard. Paper dollars were gold certificates. You could go to a bank and cash them in for actual gold coins, and it was a death penalty offense in those days. And by the way, we had no central bank in those days, and the banks issued they had to have reserves, gold reserves, and they'd issue their gold certificates. And so you'd get a certificate from like the Bank of Kansas City or the Bank of New York or whatever, and you could redeem these certificates for gold. And if anybody was caught counterfeiting, printing up fake gold certificates, it was a death penalty offense. Counterfeiting was a death penalty offense. That's how serious it was. And, and there were some problems with the whole free banking system, but that was a boom. I mean, no one can argue that the 19th century wasn't a tremendous economic explosion going on in America. Alexis de Tocqueville came over here in, I guess, 1830, and to chronicle America's just stunning economic success, wrote Democracy in America. Because he wanted to find out what was going on here. What was making America so successful? Well, what was making America so successful was freedom. People were free. And banks could issue their currencies, their gold certificates. It had to be backed by actual gold. Otherwise, that would be fraud and death penalty offense. So, So, no, I don't think we need to have inflation to have a robust economy.
No. It's insane. It's insane. Going back to language, it's double speak, like the Fed's dual mandate. is one, full employment, and two, price stability. And they achieve price stability by targeting a 2% inflation rate. So they literally
They
have
target
double
that, yeah.
speak. They have double speak in their mandate, which is like price stability, but we're going to target prices going up.
And even if they do achieve the 2 to 3%, let's say true inflation, true money printing, they're still stealing the 2 to 3% of what technological progress allows everything to get cheaper, because farming gets cheaper, because farming is much more efficient today than it was like 30 years ago. They've got robotic tractors and AI, and it's just mass farming. But so a grocery should be getting cheaper, but they keep getting more expensive, because not only is the fiat money printing, not only is the official inflation rate a phony number by 4 to 6 to 7%. Not only is that phony, but you also have that extra 2 to 3% price decline that should be happening because of technological progress.
Yeah.
The Bitcoin mining incentivizes the dispersal of people to where they can get free energy, very cheap energy, free energy. So you get solar power, as the mining, as the source of the energy for the Bitcoin mining, because that's free. Or they're at the bottom of a glacier or some kind of stream and they're mining it that way. So what Bitcoin actually incentivizes is the dispersal of the population. We really no longer need to be in these densely populated population centers, because people can now just spread out. They can have a Bitcoin mining operation and they can provide their own electricity, and they're not putting pressure on the grid. It incentivizes further decentralization. That's what I love about, another thing I love about Bitcoin is it incentivizes the spreading out of people. We don't have to live in these population centers. And, I say that Bitcoin is an extension of the American idea. And the brilliance of America is that it's decentralized government. Now it's much more centralized now, but really America was mostly, 97, 98% of the governing was happening at the state and local level in America until basically World War II. World War One, well, Civil War, kind of central. Whenever you have a war, everything centralizes, right? So, but through the 19th century, it was very decentralized, and nobody really had a kind of identity of being an American. They were more loyal to their local community, and that's where the governing was happening. But Thomas Jefferson said the big regret he had about the Constitution is it didn't really address the money problem. Yes, there is a in the Constitution. It says that, I think it's Article 1, Section 10 says all debts can be satisfied with gold or silver coins. So really, in the Constitution, we are on the gold standard. And Jefferson said his biggest regret was not really the Constitution did not really fix the money. But Jefferson is interesting, though. Jefferson was very aware of that. And of course, there was a big debate between Jefferson and Hamilton. Hamilton wanted more centralized power, including centralization over the economy. I love Hamilton in many ways, but I think, there's some problems there. He actually created the first national bank, but then that got disbanded later. So he created the national bank. Basically, they had to pay off the Civil War debt. I mean, that's the debts from the American Revolution. So, that created centralization. It created government control over the money. But Jefferson saw a big problem with that. And, I think Jefferson is right. I mean, yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Well, not only Jefferson, but that's hilarious. It's hilarious to think back throughout history. We've been warned. I believe it was Aristotle or Socrates who said, "Don't mess up the money. Money's very important." Then in the Bible, Jesus said, "Don't
honest
mess up
and
the
weights
money."
and measures in the Bible,
yes.
Right?
Then you have Thomas Jefferson and others saying, "Don't mess up the money," and we've had to learn this lesson time and time again throughout history.
Well, the government, it goes all the way back to the Roman Empire and every empire that's ever existed, right? So the Roman Empire, it was the currency was based on gold and silver, and I think copper. But because they had to fund the expansion of the empire and their military machine, and you can only mine so much gold and copper, they had to dilute the gold and the copper and the silver. And so the soldiers are getting, this is toward the end of the Roman Empire, the soldiers are getting paid in these basically very diluted coins. They started diluting the coins, and the soldiers could rub the finish off the coin, and they see that, wait a second, this is not a silver coin. And so then a lot of the Roman Empire soldiers defected over to the barbarians, to the people who are to the people who are coming in. So the corruption of the money was a big part of the fall of the Roman Empire.